All right, Jerry, brought to you by Built for Texas, built for you, joining a special Wednesday edition of Sean, RJ, and Bobby. Good morning, Jerry. How are you?
Hey, good morning, guys. Sorry about yesterday, and hope it didn't inconvenience anybody, but I'm still in New York at our league meeting, so we're get to come up here and enjoy our past weekend around some other people that are involved in these other team. It sucks.
Jerry, when you walk in, do they needle you? Or are they like, hey, nice Cardinals game there, JJ?
Not really, but I've already done the damage before I got over there.
All right, Jerry, our first chance to hear from you after what happened in Arizona. Just give us your overall thoughts on that game.
Well, I think that we can play better. It's probably very easy to identify where we could have changed that game, and had we executed on any phase. We don't hold on that kick return or those kinds of things. But frankly, my opinion is that across the board, we just let that thing stay there, if you will, or that we let the opportunity to stay out on the field to lose the game, if you want to be negative. We let that opportunity hang around there all day, and then we got in a jam at the end. It was very winnable at the end as well. So, and you can take any phase of it and look for things that have to be improved. I think the thing that is the thing that we need to zero in on is when we get that ball down in there close, we've got to get touchdowns, and that's probably across the board over these last three ball games. So we've got a long time to go in this season. We've got a lot of room to really adjust and correct these things. And so while it is something to note, it's not a long-range concern.
Jerry, the thing that stunned me the most was what happened to the defense as we were, having visions of maybe all-time great, especially after the first 2 weeks, or at least a shutdown unit. Were you surprised or concerned with the effort defensively?
No, I think the surprise are the big plays. They were obvious, and when you let those big plays happen to you in the first half, now I'll differentiate with you between the first half and the second half.
Yeah.
And so the second half, we had plenty of time to really make that game turn out the way we wanted to win it. And we were playing some, relatively speaking, good defense. And so relative to the defense, you had a tale of two halves.
Jerry Jones joins here, 105 through the Fan. After the 3 weeks, we're 3 weeks in, are you happy with the offensive changes and the way it's gone so far?
I want to see more, to use the word happy. But let me be real clear. I think that what we're trying to do is really doable. Number one, we can do it. Certainly we have the personnel to execute on it. We are bringing along by necessity, but we're still bringing them along for whatever the reason they're out there. At least two, possibly three young offensive linemen that are really needed and going to help us as we move on down the road here. I think, though, that it's one that you'd like to put in the win column when we got out there. But I'm reminded that old stuff in this game of counting one is just ridiculous. That's not the reality. The reality is you kick it off, and within that time frame of the 60 minutes, that's a life within itself. And you can lose those. I don't care what kind of team you got out there. And I've been a part of world championship teams that had lost significantly. And so, having said that, nothing surprised me. But I would tell you that I am very pleased with the prospects of going from here and what our potential is to correct some of the negatives you saw out there Sunday night, as well as really take advantage of some of the pluses we've got, some of the talent we've got, some of the things we're putting in on offense that we put in. I like the tempo. I like the really the quarterback's understanding of where we're trying to go with this. So long-winded answer, but I give it a thumbs up. Let's go.
So, in the interest of reducing the turnovers from last year that Dak had, like, has that limited the impact that he has on the game by trying to throw it short? Have you handcuffed him a little bit?
Well, you added that about that little deal right at the end there, but my point is that the answer is yes. You have limited things that he used to be doing. You have limited that. But on the other hand, we have made what we are doing more doable for him. And so I think that offsets. That throw at the end of the game, that throw's intended for the very back of the end zone high. It was low and it was in the middle, and, of course, you saw players all around it. My point is, we have answers. He has answers, and he has capability to make those kinds of plays when it's on the line in the future. So you say, boy, should you be worried about the ability to get it in a situation like that? You always are. Red zone is a challenge. But I think we will execute that play you saw at the end better next time. We've got a chance to. We've got the talent to. We've got the quarterback to. And so I'm not dismayed by that. I'm sorry we didn't do it that time, but I'm not dismayed.
Cowboys owner and general manager Jerry Jones joining us here on 105 Through the Fan. Jerry, when you talk about, there are going to be some natural limitations there in terms of what you're asking the quarterback to do. Is one of those just in how you're pushing the ball vertically? Because it doesn't seem like the vertical concepts are in there as much as it's been in recent years with Kellen Moore.
Well, it's not. I'd say it's not. That's fair. On the other hand, do we need to take advantage of Cook's speed vertically? Do we need to take advantage of Gallup's skills vertically, his ability to go up for the ball vertically? The answer is yes, and it's there. We can. The players can execute it. We know it's there. We'll have many situations where we'll take the time to do that, but the vertical game is live and well with us. But make no mistake about it, we've got in between the vertical game and the running game, you've got quite a few things we're doing different out there.
Jerry, you've mentioned a little bit here some of the red zone stuff, and that's obviously been a frustrating point, I think, for everybody. Dak, Mike McCarthy, they've all talked about it. The receiving trio there of Gallup, Cooks, and Lamb, they don't have a single reception in the red zone this year. How do you go about repairing that? Is that a scheme point? Is that you need better execution? How do you go about getting the ball to your playmaking wide receivers?
Well, hopefully we'll get down there as many times as we have in the first three games, which we've been down there ample times to execute there. Now, we all know I saw it mentioned yesterday, when you get in that red zone, that's the defensive time. That's the defensive end of the action right there. They have the edge, they have a shorter field. So we all know it's every team has it. Do we have the players to get the ball in there? Unquestionably, we have the players. Can we execute better? Can we do that? You can imagine what a focus point it is for our team, and certainly after last weekend. And so do we have the ability to really correct and have a higher percentage of touchdowns in the red zone? Absolutely. Yes, we do. And the scheme that we have and the plays we're trying to run, all of that, if you could and did, you could walk out there and say, just give me every option we've got in the red zone. You'd sit down and you'd see reconcile it with our personnel, and you'd like what you saw. Now we've got to get it done.
Jerry Jones, the Hall of Famer, brought to you by Ford, built for Texas, built for you, with a special Hump Day appearance here on Sean and RJ. Who's your left tackle?
Well, I think in a way of looking at it, we're in good shape to be this iffy. Tyron Smith is who you want to put his helmet on the board for right there. You can move Tyron Smith over there. We've got the two young players that can come in there, and their best position is left tackle. So as far as position flex or adjusting, I feel as good about left tackle as I do any spot on the team. It's what you do to the interior when you have to start making the second through the fourth of those adjustments. It's what you have to do to take out the middle. That's bothersome. And so we're going to have that to do as we move forward all year. There is some help on the way with these young guys as far as them health-wise getting better. And we did, in my mind, we played the way that I don't know that I would ask for more from our young guys that played Sunday. They played well.
Jerry, did all those last-second changes up front affect what Mike could call offensively, and if so, how?
They sure did, and they will, always will. And those are the adjustments. Mm-hmm. And it makes sense. You lose key players at key spots, and you try to compensate for it another way. Does that leave you open for some mentals? It can do that on both sides of the ball. It did on both sides of the ball Sunday.
I'm sure
yes, you do. You did make adjustments, and they are there. Again, I emphasize on both sides of the ball.
Jerry Jones here on The Fan. Last week, we were complimenting it, praising it, and then it seemed like a step backwards in terms of the penalties. How maddening or frustrating was it to watch the amount of penalties that reared their ugly head?
What's crazy is we knew walking in the game, we saw the crew that was out there, and and visiting with Mike before the game, we knew there were going to be a lot of penalties. Whew. We knew there were. This crew throws flags. And so there were going to be, but they'll throw them on both sides, and obviously. And so we knew that. Did that factor in? I don't know. All of those things are hovering there for you to think about. And there's no question the timeliness of those crews. I really don't know if a high flag game helps the lesser team. It very well could. It's like we've always assumed that bad inclement weather will help the lesser team. You've always assumed that and thought that. I don't know if it's the case or not on penalties, but certainly they were a factor out there. But they got theirs too.
Jerry, you've got the return of Ezekiel Elliott to AT&T Stadium this weekend. Just talk about the emotions of him returning. Do you guys plan to do anything to recognize him at all before the game?
Well, I don't want to blow a surprise, and that's a good enough answer for you.
Jerry,
well, one more on Zeke.
Yeah, just one more. In terms of when we talk about some of the red zone struggles, do you think you guys have missed Zeke down there inside the 20 this year?
Well, Zeke's unique physicalness is always nice to have. Nice to have. Be tried about it. It is very good to have. We think of physical on short yardage and probably should. But I do not think that physicalness from the running back is contributing to us not getting in the end zone.
Jerry
is not.
Jerry, your overall just thoughts on Zeke's tenure as a Cowboy and some of your fondest memories.
Well, I know that he was one of the best teammates that I've had the privilege of seeing on the Cowboys for his team. He was inspirational. He's inspirational before the games. His practice habits were off the charts. He just would basically practice as though almost every play were for all the marbles. He had very unique skills as a running back, and boy, he could lower that pad and lower that center of gravity. And I know this. I didn't see him up close and personal, but as far as a back that the opposing team hates to tackle, I think he's at the top of the list. Campbell of Texas and the Houston Oilers seems to have that thought, but boy, Zeke took a toll on those defensive players. So I'll always remember that. I'll remember his positiveness, and he's perfect mentality to play this game and be a pro.
Jerry Jones joins us here, 105 through the Fan. The Patriots bring in Will Greer, who was with you guys during training camp and the preseason. Obviously, Zeke is there. And Brian, Coach Schottenheimer said, Will knows where the bodies are buried. He knows exactly what our calls are. Is that a real concern when a player goes to another team, or are there no secrets out there anymore? Like, is that a real concern?
Well, you can't do anything about it. But I think you have to assume that you've been scouted out pretty good, especially as you get on into the season. When you play a game in the NFL, there's a lot of people that can read your mail. And I'll never forget, I was on the competition committee, and Marty Schottenheimer, Brian's dad, was on the committee, and Don Shula was on the committee, and many, there were 4 or 5 coaches on that committee. And we had won the Super Bowl, and Don Shula said everyone knew whether you were going to pass or run, Jerry, and everybody knew generally what direction it was going to be. And yet nobody could stop you. And so there's a lot made up of, and don't let me be tried here, having the element of guesswork put in that defense as to what they're going to do and what have you is a big thing. It's a big thing. But it is not the end of the world for somebody to have guessed right or selected right on what you're coming with, and you still execute a big play. So I put that in something that you sure need to try to protect is your information and your play caller. I put it right there, but I don't think it's terminal on any given play.
Jerry, you were trending on X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it, for signing a baby on Sunday. How many babies does that make for you, and have you ever refused to sign something?
Let me tell you, we all have them, but man alive, what a softie I am with those kids. And I just, when I go in these stadiums and I see these parents and they're usually young too, obviously, but it's rewarding to me to see these kids out there. And certainly I want everybody to know that when they hand me one of those little toddlers across that deal, I have all hands, plus I've got about 4 or 5 other hands standing there with me. It would take, I don't know what it'd take to let that baby get to the ground, but it is amazing to me how they'll drop those children over that rail.
It kind of is.
Jerry, last one. The story in the world coming from the NFL. Do you have any comments on Taylor Swift?
Well, I think it is that the NFL should take Kansas City could take him and put a trophy for him, because it is hard to move that needle dramatically on a great feeling and a great attraction in the NFL, we get a lot of eyeballs. She blew it off the chart. And it is amazing, and it makes you smile, but it just shows the depth of her following, especially with her core constituency. And we all, I think, felt the same way when she's sitting up there with Mom, and she's going nuts when he's playing, and those hearts are popping out everywhere. How do you not get that? Now, that's called images right there.
It is.
Jerry Jones, brought to you by Ford. Built for Texas, built for you. Thanks for making the time for us this week. We appreciate it. Let's get a bounce back against New England.
Absolutely, guys. Have a good week.